Okay, so I'm using Mr. Mayor's PowerPoint, so let's put up all our other stuff and let's finish. We're gonna finish this just so we can get done with time value money. And this is the last thing we have to do for this unit. And then on Tuesday, we're gonna come back and do multiple choice questions, free response, just to get better with what it's asking us to do with all of this monetary policy stuff. Because I know we've reviewed it and we feel kind of shaky, but the more we see the multiple choice, I think the better we feel. So this is just stuff that we already talked about. Money thing is anything that's used in minimum exchange. It stores value. It's a unit account. It's portable. Remember we talked about this with the cigarettes. Were they portable? Were they durable? No, because what happened to the cigarettes? And it flooded and they got ruined. Are they divisible, the cigarettes? Yes, a carton, a package. Yes, was it acceptable at Welch's warehouse? Yeah, and so was it stable? Up until the point that the flood happened. And so we talked about this stuff here, and then that's just our dollar. So money facts, y'all know this is what I already talked about. Our money used to be back in gold, but today, can you take it up to the bank? No. We're gonna see that, and today our money is called fiat. It only has value because the government says it has value. So the supply of money is really controlled by the Fed. And we've looked at this, everything that you have in your pocket and everything that is in your checking account is part of M1. Everything that is part of M2 is your long-term savings. And M3, oh, there's what M1 is, currency, coins, and demand deposits. Okay. Any of you have any of that with your possession? Okay. M2 is time deposits, money market mutuals, and overnight euro dollars. Those are like dollars that you get in other countries, right? M1 and M2, the measure become longer, money becomes less liquid. As we go from M2 to M1, the measure of money becomes smaller. Okay, so what we're gonna look at today is time value of money. So do y'all see where the question starts there, right? Mm-hmm. Is the dollar today worth more than a dollar tomorrow? Is a dollar that I have today worth more than dollars than tomorrow? Is a dollar back in the 1920s worth more than a dollar today? Is a dollar back when the populist exists worth more than a dollar today? So is a dollar today worth more than my dollar tomorrow? I just went back in time and you told me that dollar was worth more back then than today. So is my dollar today worth more than tomorrow? Because of what issue? Inflation. There you go. You already got the second answer. So is a dollar today worth more than a dollar tomorrow? Yes. And the main reason why is because of opportunity cost and inflation. Y'all know we're in the expansion phase of the business cycle. Our government is are they running the correct monetary policy? Is our government running tight monetary policy? No, they're running easy. So are they also causing inflation? So my dollar today is going to be worth more than the dollar tomorrow. So our first one, yes. So have you ever heard your parents or your grandparents say, man, I used to go to the movie theaters for 25 cents? Or I remember when I first started pumping gas, I could get $1 a gallon. Okay, so my dollar back then didn't get more than my dollar today. I have to fork over $2.06 last night for every gallon I wanted, right? So my dollar today is worth less than my dollar back in 1999. Okay, so what do banks? This is what the next question. What do banks do in the loan process for the lost value of money? Like they loan you money for college today. You're not going to be able to pay that college money back till 5 years from now. And they know that the money you're paying them is going to be worth less than the money that they lent you. So what do they do to compensate? Interest. They charge you interest. And so that's the next one. That's all you have to write. Interest. Big word. Interest. So what banks do to compensate is they have an equation called the time value of money. And this is important for you to know. Yes. I thought I'd give it to you when you walked in.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. You did.
It's okay. Okay, so one of the things that when you're gonna get your loan is they're gonna tell you this interest rate. And there's other things that go with it. And so you just have to be real savvy that you calculate this out about how much interest is gonna charge you over time. Also, you could do this with your savings account. Okay, and then Karl Marx really came up with the whole idea of interest. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up this equation. So V is what we're solving for. We're trying to solve for the future value of our dollar. P is the present value of our dollar. R is the real interest rate. And we've done this equation before to cover real interest rate. Remember we took the nominal, which nominal has that I, so it tells me what does it have in it. Inflation, I take the nominal, that rate with inflation at that time minus that inflation rate, which we already did that on the last test, remember? And then I take N, which is the number of years, and K is the number of times interest is credited per year. So many of y'all don't realize if you get a credit card, they account interest every single month. So that would be 12 times a year times that rate of inflation and the present value of what it is to what the future value of your money is. So you could take this equation and use it in a lot of things to figure out if I'm gonna get a loan, how much money are they gonna get out of me? If I get a credit card and I put something on that credit card and I won't be able to pay it for 8 months, how much interest are they charging me? How much are they getting out for that value that I'm paying now? Because they're gonna charge you that interest to make up for you paying them back at less value. So the simple interest formula, it's this. V is equal to parentheses 1 plus R parentheses times N years times P. And I'm going to take you through this problem. And you're going to realize I had to just teach you the semantics of this so you could get the concept of it for AP. But AP will never allow you to have a calculator on the test. So could you ever do this exponent number? So I will tell you right now, AP will not make you calculate this because you're not allowed to have a calculator. But we're going to work through the process of it to understand why this equation's important. So y'all can understand why your dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow, right? The compounding interest formula, and this is what you'll use with credit cards, it's B is equal to 1 plus R over K, parentheses, NK times P. Again, will you ever do this on the AP test? No, but AP says I have to teach it to you. Yes, I have to teach you the calculations, but really if you're ever tested on the test, you have to understand the theory behind it, okay? And once we do a couple of these, which you will never have to do the math for, so we will not have a homework overtime value of money, okay? So just work with me through the math on this to understand what is going on with the time value of money. Are y'all okay with that? I promise, I've gone through every single AP test and I've never seen time value of money on there. Are y'all okay with that? So
we're
We're
not gonna like actually use it, but like we need to like, know.
You need to know how the concept of it works so that you can understand in your near future, whenever you take out loans, what they're doing to you.
Okay.
Also, you can also understand what is happening to your savings. Because a lot of times they're giving you a savings account with 1% interest, but does that 1% interest compensate for the loss of value of your dollar in the future? No, and so we're gonna also calculate that as well. So, assume that the inflation is expected to be 3%, and that the nominal interest rate and the simple interest rate is 1%. We're gonna calculate the future value of a dollar after a year. I'm only doing a dollar because this is the simplest way I could do the math with y'all. So let me tell you how I calculate the interest rate. Do y'all remember this? We had this last unit, right? Okay, so I'm gonna put those numbers together, right? That gives me a negative, can y'all put this on, we're working out the math together. This is problem 1. We are working out the interest rate. So this is really all savings account, right? Most of y'all's savings account gives you, what was that? The hallway.
That's new though.
I don't know. I know it sounded like it came from over here.
Yeah, I think it was the phone. It sounded like.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out at the end of this video what happens to us. Okay? The suspense. Okay, so let me bring this up because this is really what's happening with your savings accounts. I don't know, how many of y'all have savings accounts? 1, 2 people, 3 people? You're earning 1%, but the actual rate of inflation is 3%. So your money is sitting there and it's making negative, it's losing 0.2% of its value because that money as it sits there, is it gaining enough interest to compensate for the rate of inflation? No. So are savings accounts good for you? No, they're not, because you're losing your money. Time value of money tells us for this right here. So if you're shopping around for somewhere to put your money, what should you be over the rate of? Is 1% good? Do you need to get something at 3%? Because if you get it at 3%, and we said this is 3% minus 3%, so then that would be what? Did you lose any value of your money? But right now in your savings accounts, you're getting 1%, but the rate of inflation is 3%, so you're losing 2% of your money. Even though they give you that penny every month, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Y'all see that in your savings account, you gain a penny. Does that compensate for the rate of inflation? So when you're trying to put your money somewhere in the near future, because you're going to be big ballers or whatever, get something over the rate of inflation of 3%. Put it in a CD, a certificate of deposit. You'll get 3% or higher, but you cannot touch it, right? It puts it in a lockbox. So y'all learned your lesson, right? Are your savings accounts making you anything? No.
Cancel it.
Don't cancel it. Put it somewhere where you could get it, where you could get enough off the interest. Most banks, like if you have like $300 in your savings account, they're like, sorry, no, we're only going to give you 1%. Okay. But if you have more, like let's just say you were sitting with $10,000 and you didn't need that money right now, I would put it in a CD and say, okay, the longer you keep it there, the higher interest rate you earn. So let's just say you did have $7,000. Then we're going to give you 7%. That's what I put here, right?
Yeah.
7 minus the rate of inflation is 3. What is the percentage that you're getting? 4% on your return for keeping it there. And this is what you will do with every single investment in your life. Let's just say you're gonna get on the stock market, right? And your stockbroker is saying you can make 10%. You're not making 10%, right? Because you're gonna put 10% here minus the rate of inflation, and that tells you you're actually only gonna make what? 7. So then you take that, and then we're gonna put it in the next equation. Alright, are y'all ready for the next equation? Okay, so on this one, we're gonna set it up like this. So I'm solving for V. I already know I have to have the 1, but what is my real interest rate?
-2.
Okay. And this is easy math here because it's $1, right? So I could take, okay, well I have $1 and I'm really subtracting, right? So what is this gonna give me in this parentheses? 98 times $1, right? Which this will give me 98 cents. Do y'all get what just happened? Your dollar just lost that 2%. So for every dollar sitting in your savings account, this is what's happening to it. It's losing 2 cents because this is the current state of our economy. So if Noah had $300 times 2 cents, that's a lot of cents, right? Does it make sense? Okay. Sorry, I'm just corny. Okay. Let's do some bigger math. Okay. But y'all get the semantics now. What number must be higher for you to make interest? Does the nominal or the real have to be? I mean, does the nominal or the simple? What has to be higher? The nominal was 3. You want your interest rate. Your interest rate is that I. You always want the interest rate to be higher. But if it's a credit card, they're going to give you that interest rate right here, and that's going to be this. That would be 25%. Most credit cards are 25%. Minus the 3, so what is it that they're really charging you? 25% is the real interest rate. Minus 3, they're charging you 22%. Then take all of this times that. They're charging you basically 22 cents per every dollar interest for you to make that purchase. Okay? So you have to be really careful with credit cards, because then they also, on this equation right here, that exponent is not 1, it's 12. So 22 cents times 12. Does someone have a calculator?
It's 24.
It's 24.
Wait, what? No.
22
I thought
cents
you said
times
2.
12.
2 times 12.
22 cents times 12. What is that?
$2.64.
Per every dollar.
Wait, what?
So let's just say you buy something for $100. Multiply that times 100 now. That should be about $22, right?
You said
Multiply it times 100.
264.
Over the whole year for that one purchase. Isn't that crazy? This is how interest will get y'all when they're using those credit cards. So you'll have to be really careful. So if you're borrowing, do you want that interest rate to be high? No. I don't know, many of you are gonna get out of college and try to buy a new car, right? Guess what they're gonna do? Are you gonna get a real low interest rate or a high interest rate? High. They're gonna charge you anywhere from 6 to 7 to 8% on a car because you have no credit history. So now let's do this. Let's just say they're charging you 8% minus the rate of inflation. What are you really paying? 5. That's what they're getting back. Okay, so this number is so important for you to calculate what you're really paying out to them and what they're losing and what you are losing. Okay, so we're gonna do another one. We're on the back side now. Are y'all getting logistically what's going on? Okay, mathematically, do we have to worry about the equations? No, I'm gonna do the equations with you. So assume the inflation is still expected to be 3%. That's what we're expecting it to be, right? But now the simple rate of interest is 4%. Do y'all like that?
Yeah.
Okay, how do I set up my equation? 4 minus 3 gives me what? There you go. 4 minus 3 gives us 1. Is this good for your dollar now? Yes. For every $1, how much cents are you making? 1 cent. Okay? Is that better than what we saw before? Because on that other one, you were losing how much? 2 cents. Okay, and I know we're just talking about pennies, but do pennies add up? Yes, they do. Okay, so now let's put this in the simple interest formula for this dollar. And this is what we calculated in our head. I know you're like, I'm just using a dollar. It gets more complex, but I wanted to use just something simple for us to add on to. And when we get to problem 3, y'all are just gonna be like, okay, I like that simple math that we were doing before. Okay, are y'all ready for the next one? Okay. It is fun. I don't know how to make this fun. Like, I guess he just put it's fun. Okay. So, assume the annual inflation is expected to be 2.5%. And the annual nominal interest rate over a 10-year 10-year certificate deposit is 5% compounded monthly. Calculate the future value of $1,000 over 10 years. We're like, whoa, I've done a lot, right? So let me put this in an equation. So now we are doing 5 minus 2.5%, right? Because 5% is the interest, right, that they told me I'm going to be making. 2.5 is what we're thinking the inflation rate's going to be. So what is your actual investment making? 2.5%. Is that good? Yeah, because you've already taken that 2.5% out, that is the rate of inflation, and now you can multiply your investment times this amount, which is the real interest rate you are making. So do y'all understand that the bank is going to tell you this, and you're like, wow, I'm making a good amount. Really? Is that what you should calculate your investment against? No, you have to think about the rate of inflation. Take that away and then multiply that out, because those investment bankers are going to tell you, yeah, it's going to be 10%, but really, is it 10%? No, because you have to think about what your money is losing in the long run. So let's calculate this. It's calculated monthly, right? So I'm going to set this one up for y'all, and this is a lot of math, okay? Because it's over do you understand? It's a 10-year period, and it's calculated monthly. So this one's going to allow for compounding interest to occur. And this is exactly what credit cards do. They compound monthly on you. So that interest rate, let's just say you have a $10,000 loan, and they're charging you $80 for interest every month. That's 80 times 12. What's 80 times 12? Someone with a calculator, because my phone's right there. Huh? 960. They just charged you $960 for a $10,000 loan. That's a lot of money just to borrow. So this is what the equation that the credit cards use. So this is how we put it together when we calculate it out. You're multiplying that times 120.
Is this the same for student loans?
They just charged you $283.69 for that $1,000 loan. Do you think they're going to be so forthcoming in this information? No, they won't. And a lot of you are thinking, like, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to have to borrow money. You have to understand, are they going to charge you a high interest rate? Yes, unless you get something with the federal government. If you get one of the federal government loans, they're going to be 3%. Oh, what do y'all know about the rate of interest? 3%. So essentially you're paying back what? Nothing. Because y'all know that your value of money that they give you now is going to be less than the value in the future. So if you get a federal government loan, you're actually paying no interest. But if you get something from a bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, that is not tied to the federal government, they're going to charge you a higher interest rate. So you have to calculate that in your head. Well, if it's 6% minus the rate of inflation 3, I'm really paying what? 3%. But then they're going to calculate this times monthly, right? So then you go and basically put that in the equation times 120, and you can calculate the rate of inflation that they're going to do for you. Okay? Rate of interest, sorry.
So is FAFSA is federal loan?
FAFSA is what's going to try to get you the federal loans. And some of them will be tied to banks, but they have to meet the requirements of the government. Okay? So like I had to take one out. I had to take a federal Pell Grant one summer just because I didn't have money, but I qualified for a Pell Grant. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how much interest is this going to be? I was only taking $5,000, but that was a lot of money for me for one summer session. And then I calculated the rate of inflation. I was like, oh, it's 3% they're charging me, and it's 3%. This is a great deal. I'm basically only going to pay back $5,000 because of what the value of money is. So I realized, why not? So I took that one semester that I needed. Okay, and so this is why it's really important, because a lot of us are like, no, we shouldn't take out loans. I'm going to be in debt. I'm going to get to personal finance, and we're going to talk about why debt is okay, because you want to have a credit score, which we'll look at all that stuff. But now that we've talked about time value of money, if you could get a loan at 3%, and you're eventually going to be balling or making money after college, right? you're going to be able to pay back that money with no interest, basically, because the rate of inflation has gone what? Up. So the money they lent you is actually worth less than the money you're actually paying them back. So this is why, this is very important, but do you get the semantics?
Yeah.
Do you have to get the equations how to do this? Are we good? Theoretically, are we good?
Yeah.
Mathematically, we could be questionable, okay? But theoretically, do you got this now that we've done the equations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will not be doing equations for homework.